Hey guys, Nick Espinoza, your chief security fanatic here, and today I'm asking the question, is it any wonder there is a wedge in American society thanks to technology? And here's what's going on, because quite frankly, we have a serious problem with conspiracy theories, and we need to talk about this now. So, it really seems like these days there are two sets of facts for virtually every situation here in the United States. A healthy percentage of Americans are bucking the traditional news sources for situations that really shouldn't have a political spin, like the coronavirus. It seems like most people in all 50 states are either suiting up in their red or blue jersey, which is conservative or liberal, Democrat or Republican, as you are looking at this. Yet many don't understand on either side that there is a good deal of noise that we see every day that's actually being created by bots, and then eager bloggers who tout themselves as news sources are basically happy to take that unverified information and run with it. For example, did you know that nearly half of Twitter accounts sharing information about the coronavirus are most likely bots? Now, the research is in from Carnegie Mellon, and it ain't good. Researchers analyzed more than 200 million tweets discussing the coronavirus or COVID-19 since January. They found that nearly half of these tweets were sent by accounts that behave more like a bot than an actual human. Of the top 50 influential retweeters, 82% were most likely bots, according to their research, and out of the top 1,000 retweeters, 62% were most likely bots as well. Now, more than 100 types of inaccurate COVID stories were being identified by researchers. This includes misinformation on potential cures and conspiracy theories like hospitals being filled with mannequins, which I actually didn't know about, that was a conspiracy theory, or that the coronavirus is being linked to 5G towers, and I did a video on that a couple of weeks ago, which is just bonkers. Now, researchers also said that the bots are dominating conversations about ending stay-at-home orders and reopening America. So that is obviously a very huge issue, because the reopen movement seems to have gained some traction, but a lot of this generation of interest that it has apparently is coming from what are officially declared fake sources by this research. Now, the team at Carnegie Mellon uses multiple methods to identify which accounts are real and which ones are most likely fake or bots. An artificial intelligence tool has been analyzing these accounts for information and looks for things like the number of followers, the frequency of tweeting, and the accounts mentioned. And to quote Kathleen Carley, who is a professor in the School for Computer Science at Carnegie Mellon, she said, and I quote, "Tweeting more frequently than is human possible or appearing to be in one country than another a few hours later is indicative of a bot," which is true. They tend to change their information up. To continue, "We do know that it looks like it's a propaganda machine, and it definitely matches the Russian and Chinese playbooks, but it would take a tremendous amount of resources to substantiate that." So now we've got 62% of all of the 1,000 top retweeters looking like they are fake, looking like they are right out of the playbook, looking like they are around the globe within hours of that initial tweet. And so the question then that I have is, so why are so many people oblivious to the fact that these conspiracy theories are being concocted by potential foreign powers looking to use our own free and open platforms against each other? And for that, let's turn to psychologist Dr. John Grohol. I apologize for the pronunciation, who was interviewed by Business Insider. Now, as he talks about, conspiracy theories frequently surface at times of uncertainty, especially in the aftermath of something like a mass shooting or other tragic events, and the coronavirus is no different. The doctor also says that conspiracy theorists come up with ideas out of thin air to basically match whatever quote-unquote fact they think is true, and often use paranoia-based beliefs to then convince others. And now, for the real kicker and what he was talking about in this article, he says that these people tend to be uncooperative, distrustful, and socially isolated, which is why believing in a conspiracy theory with strangers on the internet can give them a sense of belonging. And just in my own personal history, I recently got to interview Mark Sargent, who was one of the leaders of the Flat Earth movement, who was a super nice guy. But obviously, this is a group of individuals that basically has found camaraderie online and would not exist in these numbers enough to have a national convention each year if these free and open platforms on the internet didn't exist. And so part of this is the balance between understanding that the information is coming, in towards us, or rather towards us from various sources, and we need to really fact check. And I think that the United States needs to have a massive education push to basically identify real from fake. But I think it also comes down to a different set of things as well, because we have, let's say, two political sides of the spectrum, both potentially putting out their own spin or hyperbole on possibly the same set of facts, let alone having two separate sets of facts, thanks to, let's say, intrusion, from foreign powers into our platforms. And this ends up being a very serious issue. The other thing that we need to talk about is fact-checking on these platforms. Where does that begin and end on a Facebook or a Twitter? When somebody is putting out there, and the whole 5G cell tower burning thing in the United Kingdom, for example, actually started in March with a group on Facebook. Just somebody posted it with that theory, and it caught on. That fits the worldview, that fits what the psychologist here is saying. That's what we're talking about. How do we combat that? We will never come together as a society if we allow this to perpetuate. If we cannot come to one set of facts, we are going to have a very serious problem here on our hands, and that is very difficult. And I can't tell you how many times I've seen this just play out in my own, situation. So recently, I got a chance to sit down with Michael Daniel, who is the CEO and president of the Cyber Threat Alliance, which obviously is a very well-known international threat intelligence sharing. But his background was as President Obama's former cybersecurity advisor sitting on the National Security Council. And when I put that on Facebook, my God, the amount of things I got that said everybody in the administration is a crook or a liar, is this horrible, I refuse to watch this. And they couldn't even stay still. They couldn't ignore it. They had to actually speak up and tell me that I'm an idiot, he's a liar, he's a crook because he's related or in some way, shape, or form in his past to Obama, and therefore everything is invalid. That's where we are. And that's a very serious issue, because right now, if you actually sat and watched that video, you would really see the good work that Mr. Daniel and the Cyber Threat Alliance are doing, and that he goes way beyond President Obama in being in the government, working obviously under past administrations, both Republican and Democrat. But we can't see beyond this jersey that we are putting on. That's a very serious problem, and our technology is the foundation of allowing this fake news to proliferate and these people to take this and spread. And I think that is a discussion we have to have. I'm not saying we pull back these platforms and not make them free and not make them open, but how do we educate a population to really start understanding real from fiction? How do we educate a population to understand that even though, let's say, somebody else is on the other side of the political spectrum, that doesn't make them a bad person. It just makes them different from us. And we both ultimately want to help the country, even if we have two different ways of doing it. We need to figure this out. And the reason why I'm making this video here is because we are coming into Memorial Day. We are coming into an era, a holiday that talks about eras past where we have had thousands, or if not millions of men and women put their lives on the line for whatever the cause was at that moment in time. That is something that I think we really have to consider, because at the end of the day, we're all in this together. And so that is your news of the day, and I'm sorry to get contemplative for this, but it is an important situation. And when I read reports like this coming out of Carnegie Mellon, that's a very serious problem for me. And so I hope that you guys take this to heart. I'd love to foster discussion. I have no doubt there's going to be a subset of the population that's going to call me some kind of moron, idiot loser that doesn't believe one side or the other. And that is the way, unfortunately, of our discourse. So with that, I hope you guys have a good weekend. And if you're in the United States, I hope you have a good Memorial Day weekend. And with that, that is your news of the day. And please like, share, follow me here on Facebook and Twitter at NickAESP. And please feel free to subscribe to me at YouTube as well. And as always, stay safe and stay online. Thanks, guys.